Thanks for watching County Report this week. I'm Susan Kennedy. Hurricane Sandy brought her harsh winds and heavy rains to Montgomery County, forcing hundreds of closures, but in the end, spared this area of the massive devastation that the storm brought to other parts of the East Coast. As soon as the hurricane passed through our region, county officials moved swiftly with business as usual by reopening county government and extending early voting. Lorna Virgili has the story.
Susan, county government was closed for 2 days, but according to the county executive, the county did everything behind the scenes to return to normalcy as soon as possible. The executive's assessment was that the county fared the storm very well. At a news conference with respected chiefs of the fire and police departments, Executive Leggett gave a briefing on the status of operations.
What you see today is a result of the preparation that we've had from all of the personnel who've come out to work, the volunteers, as well as our professional staff. It has been an enormous undertaking. The preparation, the experience, unfortunately, we've had over the last few years due to a number of storm-related events suggested we were well prepared for this event.
At the end, about 35 traffic lights had no power and some 60 streets were closed. But in all, the county dodged the ball and authorities moved swiftly with cleanup efforts and trying to return to normal activities. However, authorities continue to ask residents to use caution when cleaning up damage around their property.
We're able to say in the county today that we escaped major issues. We still want county residents to pay attention to potential tree limbs that are loose or maybe still in the trees. Any standing water, don't go through it, go around it. And by all means, slow down and check on your neighbors.
And part of returning to normalcy was opening the polls for early voting. With an extended day and extended hours, residents came in droves. Lines were rather long at the executive office building that served as one of the early voting sites.
I think it's going to make a huge difference. I've just gone, this is my third stop handing out the Spanish sample ballot, and this is probably the busiest here at the executive office building. Probably it's lunchtime, and that's why more people are coming.
For County Report this week, I'm Lorna Virgili.
Pepco had approximately 10,000 customers without power after the storm, but most of those customers were restored by Wednesday evening. Though Pepco officials had been preparing for Sandy for close to a week, Council President Roger Berliner told us overall he thought Pepco's response to the event was better than in years past.
I can say that I do think Pepco is improving in that regard, and that's a positive. And I also think it's fair to say that this storm, we dodged the bullet, as you said. We weren't tested in this storm in the way in which other utilities were tested, and I'm grateful for that as well. So I do think they prepared better than they have in the past, and I think we were spared seeing whether or not all that preparation ultimately really did pay off, if you will, because I think the storm didn't hit us as hard as we had expected.
And during the storm, MC311 stayed open around the clock. Customer service representatives took approximately 4,000 of your calls. MC311 was fully staffed, and for 38 hours, county residents were able to reach out to county government to inquire about different concerns.
Most of those calls were regarding storm issues, flooding. Our trees are down. Customers wanted to report them to get the tree from out of the roadways. We received a lot of calls regarding trash and recycling services because, of course, that service was suspended and they wanted to know when their trash or their recycling would be picked up.
Switching gears now, the County Council has begun work on a new subdivision staging policy that will set the tone for future growth here in the county. The policy was delivered to the council by planners who say the plan is focused on creating better communities. Formerly called the Growth Policy, the Subdivision Staging Policy outlines the way the county should grow over the next 4 years by establishing tests to measure the impact of development, accommodate it with the right level of services, and thus create better communities.
For instance, we're expecting White Flint to grow, so we take that regional total and we divide it by the areas of growth in the county and distribute it so that we can say that in 2020 or 2030 or 2040 we expect the population of White Flint or Silver Spring or Tacoma Park to be X.
In the report, planners predict the number of households in Montgomery County will grow by 21% in the next 20 years. With just over 9,000 acres of developable land left in the county, planners are encouraging growth where infrastructure exists.
Instead of parking lots and one-story shopping centers, we're now proposing to have areas of more dense walkable development, redeveloping those areas. So we're not using greenfields, we're really reusing areas that have been used before, but increasing the mix of uses there, increasing the walkability, increasing the transit serviceability of an area so that more people can use transit and walk.
At this time, I'd like to dismiss our 6th and our 8th graders.
The subdivision staging policy also takes into account school capacity. The schools test determines whether proposed development in any school cluster should be subject to a school facilities payment to build new classrooms or even new schools, or a moratorium.
Well, each new development that's proposed or redevelopment of an existing developed property is proposed, it has to meet the test to determine whether or not it has adequate public facilities. This is our adequate public facilities ordinance. So as each development comes through, it's measured against these tests. And if the development is causing the area to exceed those tests, it will pay an additional amount to help accomplish whatever improvements are necessary, whether they're transit improvements, road improvements, or school improvements.
The council must adopt it by November. Still to come on County Report this week, our friends at Montgomery College will be here to tell us about a new collaborative effort that's happening on campus. And some future scientists get some hands-on career experience. We'll be right back.
The 2012 presidential general election is almost here. Make your voting experience a pleasant one by following these tips. Know your polling place. Review your sample ballot, especially the wording of all ballot questions. Decide how you will vote, then mark your sample ballot to use as a guide before arriving, and try to vote mid-morning to avoid long lines. You may also vote in advance of Election Day during early voting or by casting a no-excuse absentee ballot. Remember, your time, your voice, your vote.
Welcome back to County Report this week. A first-of-its-kind educational partnership has just been launched at Montgomery College, and Montgomery College Television's Michael Brown has the story.
Educators from more than 30 2- and 4-year colleges and universities from Maryland and D.C. joined forces today on the Tacoma Park Silver Spring campus of Montgomery College to enter into a campus compact that will develop model programs to help our local communities. The Maryland Compact began in 1985, and the addition of the D.C. institutions will strengthen the program. Barbara Vinier, president of Chesapeake College, is the chair of the Maryland D.C. Compact, and she laid out the mission.
And we have come to harness the intellectual capability I see out in this room and to collectively address the issues in our community. We come together to be a collective, to be a new network, and I particularly want to welcome our new colleagues from the District of Columbia.
Dr. Michelle Scott, the Chief Equity and Diversity Officer of Montgomery College, lauded the addition of the D.C. educators to the compact.
What's important for us is recognizing that understanding the work of what we do as members of the Campus Compact helps us to serve underserved communities in unique and different kinds of ways. And with the inclusion of our D.C. colleagues, it gives us an opportunity to expand that work within the region.
Also on the agenda was a panel discussion by MC and MCPS administrators and students who discussed a service learning program they created that exemplifies the work of the compact.
To address issues of first-generation students, ESL students, or who are international students, and maybe we could, work with Montgomery County Public Schools to see if we couldn't develop something that would help those students.
And I can assure you that this collaborative program has been highly beneficial for Montgomery College students as well as high school students who are involved in the program.
So for the first time in the history of the Campus Compact initiative, 2 jurisdictions have joined together, which means that even more programs like the one the panel presented will be created to benefit our communities. For County Report this week from MC's Tacoma Park Silver Spring campus, I'm Michael Brown.
Montgomery County Police responded to a pedestrian fatality this week in Germantown. Captain Paul Starks is here to tell us about this unfortunate incident. Captain, what can you tell us about what occurred here?
Well, at about 7:03 in the morning, a female 10th grader, Christina Morris Ward, was crossing Route 118 at Wisteria. She was struck by a car that was northbound on 118, transported to Shady Grove, and later died of her injuries.
Now, we have a lot of folks out there on cell phones listening to iPods, and it is dark still early in the morning. What sort of things are we telling folks when they're out walking around at this time of the morning?
Well, while all the circumstances of this collision are still under investigation, we're asking everyone to put all distractions aside, make sure you have a clear view, and get where you're going to across the street, and then continue with a conversation or something on the cell phone after you're safely on the sidewalk.
Now, this was not pedestrian error. Is that correct, that the vehicle did have the green light in this situation?
That's what witnesses are telling us, but the Collision Reconstruction Unit is continuing their investigation.
Okay. Now, moving on to another topic, I know you're dealing with a scam situation, and with Hurricane Sandy wrapping up, there might be a lot of scammers out there looking for work. Tell us about this particular situation.
Recently, we've had 2 cases where men have impersonated workers from a utility company, gained access into a home with the homeowner's permission, and then the homeowner later discovered that items were missing from parts of their house. We're asking people to remember that every utility worker in the area should have a photo identification card, will have a marked vehicle with them, and also a phone number that anyone can call to ensure that they're supposed to be working in this area.
Now, we do know that these 2 said they were from a water utility company, and we know that WSSC has posted a link on their site for more information for folks. Tell us a little bit about that.
We've been coordinating with WSSC, and they've taken the step where they've posted photos of their workers, their marked vehicles, and a number for residents to call to ensure that the workers who are at the property or in the neighborhood are actual WSSC workers.
And if anybody needs more information on this, they can also go to your website and tell us what that is.
Please, for more information about these stories and more, go to mymcpnews.com.
Okay, Captain Paul Starks, lots of good information. Montgomery County Police, thank you. We turn now to the universities at Shady Grove, where hundreds of students from Forest Oak and Neillsville Middle Schools recently participated in some very exciting hands-on science activities. MCPS TV has the story.
Forest Oak and Neillsville Middle School students became scientists for a day at the Frontiers in Science program held on the campus of the universities at Shady Grove.
The Frontiers in Science and Medicine program is unique to Montgomery County. We work with local partners, local universities, and the experience for students is that it brings real-world science connected to the 7th grade curriculum.
It means if you took the survey meter home and held it up to the granite countertop, you'd be able to detect a little bit of radiation from it.
The partnership among MCPS, Johns Hopkins University, and local science and biotech industries gives students an introduction to careers in pharmacy, engineering, and other fields of science and technology.
Whenever we can extend learning outside of the classroom, I think it helps our students make that connection to the real world.
I work for a company called Navigant Consulting, and really what we're trying to do here today is we're trying to demonstrate the relative energy efficiencies of various lighting technologies. It's really important to showcase basic science concepts to kids. We obviously want them to grow up with a good education because, you know, at the end of the day, we're going to need a lot more engineers in this country.
I've learned about chemical reaction, radiation, and where radiation is. When I grow up, I'd probably become a chemist or something in biology.
So students need to understand that if they want a job in these types of fields, they can stay local, and these are the type of industries where they may be able to secure jobs. for the future.
Up next, when County Report This Week continues, we'll show you how the county is working to support a local nonprofit responsible for building dreams. And how the tree crews for the city of Rockville are preparing for the months ahead. When County Report This Week continues. Welcome back. Recognized as a Tree City USA for the past 23 years, the city of Rockville values its trees and forests because of the many benefits they provide to the community. Our Rockville 11's Bridget Breuer met up with the city's forester, Wayne Knoll, on the grounds of Glenview Mansion to find out about the work of the city's tree crews and about some green rebates happening right now.
Risking their lives every day at 40 to 50 feet above the ground are the city's professional tree climbers.
And that's a very highly skilled job here in the city, anywhere. It's probably one of the most hazardous jobs in the country. And you know, what they're doing is looking for dead limbs, again, like I said, dead limbs, split limbs, cracked limbs, interfering branches, and they're also, this tree's getting so big that they need to prune the tree away from the mansion itself to have clearance, just so that the tree limbs aren't hitting the mansion and damaging the structure as well. So they're doing a couple things as far as just general maintenance on the tree.
City Forester Wayne Knoll wants residents to know that maintaining a tree is essential, especially with winter weather on the horizon.
And you should be maintaining your trees regularly to minimize damage. You can't eliminate damage. You know, in a storm event, anything can happen, even to a very healthy tree. But if you recognize defects in your trees and take care of them, take off cracked and split limbs, dead limbs, you can greatly minimize the damage that can occur to your trees.
You can see green in your wallet by putting a little more green in your yard. The city's Environmental Management Division offers rebates for planting trees, plus Pepco is giving away trees.
Their Energy Saving Trees program, which is a partnership with the Arbor Day Foundation, where they're going to give away 3,000 trees to Pepco residential customers for planting on residential property. The trees just have so many environmental benefits. They provide shade for our streets and beautify neighborhoods and provide homes for wildlife and stormwater management. And when we have a high rain event, you know, a tree canopy, it really does help you know, minimize the effects of storms. So it's important to plant trees for those reasons, but like I said, it's important to maintain them as well to you know, to make sure your trees are minimize damage for your property.
If you have a question about a tree in your yard, check out the forestry page on the city's website by going to rockvillemd.gov and search trees.
It's no secret the demand for affordable housing here far outweighs the supply. A shift in demographics, as well as the national foreclosure crisis of a few years ago, has led to a big increase in the need for affordable housing.
Which to me sort of
To help bridge that gap, the county works closely with several nonprofits who are in the business of providing affordable housing. One of those is Montgomery Housing Partnership. Councilmember Hans Riemer recently participated in a tour of a project built by MHP that provides a holistic approach to affordable housing.
It's about the people and the community. It's the role of this building strengthening the fabric of the neighborhood, because there are so many people now here who have a stable life, a better life, and the nonprofit plays a role in that. This community can be an anchor for improving the broader community life, and that's what's so important about it.
Montgomery Housing Partnership is the largest nonprofit housing organization in the county, and to date it has developed over 1,400 homes. The latest endeavor is located on Maple Avenue in Tacoma Park. Once a dilapidated eyesore in the community, this building is now where 36 county families call home.
County plays a big role in Montgomery Housing Partners. We are a funder, we're a partner, and the kids, for example, who benefit from the community life programs here, well, they go into Montgomery County's public schools, and then we take them from there.
MHP, housing people, empowering families, strengthening.
It's a really, really important implementation of Montgomery County's mission of commitment to opportunity and quality of life for everybody.
200 families in Montgomery County.
During the tour, Montgomery Housing Partnership officials took the time to show residents how they are working to build communities. And in the process of this, they hope to change the perception of affordable housing.
You know, from small things, it makes a huge difference in a person's life. And we've seen that when we buy a building, maybe people are not taking care of it as much. But when we put all of this stuff, all of a sudden it becomes a prized possession, or like they're proud of where they live, and then all of a sudden you see less trash, you see more community, you see more people know their neighbors.
In the end, Councilmember Reamer says this new era of affordable housing is a bigger investment in the county as a whole that is well worth the price.
And it's because of initiatives like this, housing-based initiatives. There's an array of policy tools that we have, but it's partly because of housing-based initiatives that we are able to sustain progress in the face of great challenges.
This is not just an issue for one or two people. This is an issue for everybody. People are crying for housing, and that's the American dream.
Now we turn to Tom Pogue for this week's Transportation Update.
Hi, I'm Tom Pogue, Community Relations Manager for the Department of Transportation. Here's an update for Montgomery County. An 11-person delegation from the Tianjin Highway Administration, a northern Chinese city of 13 million people, recently visited MCDOT, the 5th delegation we have hosted. They were interested in road and bridge construction, traffic safety, and maintenance. The visitors heard about our engineering division's new approaches to bridge replacements using prefabricated components. They learned about our traffic division's Transportation Management Center and our recently completed signal modernization program. This presentation was especially meaningful because the presenter, traffic engineer Kyle Liang, had visited Tianjin twice and gave his talk in Chinese. Finally, Highway Services staff described their innovative use of GPS devices to guide snow removal crews through their routes. Then the visitors were given a tour of the Bethesda Highway Depot and the Materials Testing Lab. This laboratory is the only state-certified, county-run facility that tests concrete or asphalt used in road construction. For more information, go to our website at montgomerycountymd.gov/MCDOT. We're working to keep you moving.
When we come back, a look at how County Park Police trains some of their most highly visible partners, and some news on Veterans Day programming on County Cable Montgomery, when County Report This Week comes back.
Sign up for MC Alert today. Receive college closing, delay, and emergency information via text message and email. The service also sends important information about Montgomery County weather and traffic events. Make plans to attend the timely presentation of Syria on the Brink, a lecture by noted Middle East expert John Alderman, November 8th on MC's Rockville campus. This event is free and open to the public. And you won't want to miss Byline Ernie Pyle, the new one-man show from Steve LaRoque, one of DC's finest actors, on November 12th on MC's Tacoma Park Silver Spring campus. The play is based on excerpts from the World War II dispatches of Ernie Pyle, one of America's foremost war reporters. The event is free and open to the public.
Welcome back to County Report. Some Montgomery County Park police officers spend their time while on duty with specially trained partners. And as our videographer Mike Springer found out, their training requires them to be able to cope with all aspects of life.
Column aboard! Column aboard! Ho!
This is the Montgomery County Maryland National Capital Park Police. This is our training facility, our horse-mounted training facility. Today we're conducting our regular in-service training for horses. We have it in the spring and the fall. And we've got about 25 horses here today. We use formations for tactically for crowd control and for parades and for just moving. When you have a group that large, you have to move in some kind of order so you don't look ragtag. So we do our formations, and they're all based on the United States Cavalry training movements. Horses are often frightened of things that we might not be, noises, visual things they have to step on.
So the purpose of doing sensory training for the horses is to get them acclimated to things that normal horses aren't usually exposed to. Due to the nature of our job, they have to go to places like downtown, to the fair, to carnivals, to different community events that have things like fancy guys and moon bounces. So we do all of our training in a controlled setting where we can kind of use the horses to help each other, and we kind of figure out what they're comfortable doing and work off of that. So that way we know when we take them out, we can gauge what we should maybe stay away from.
They're actually weapons that are similar to what we use, but they fire little paint balls. So it's a good acclimation with a horse because it's not that loud, because horses don't typically like loud noises. So it's a good training to acclimate them to firearms, and as well as the officer using their firearm on horseback.
No horse is bomb-proof. No horse is gonna, they all need to be adjusted to it, and they all need to be acclimated to it and get as much exposure as we can get.
You're a good boy, Bubba.
Kathy Stanhope is here now with our Pet of the Week.
Hi, this is Kathy Stanhope with your Pet of the Week at the Montgomery County Humane Society, and we are here with Lila. She is an American Eskimo. She's absolutely adorable. She's a young dog. Unfortunately, her owners had to give her up, and she's very unhappy here. American Eskimos are very intelligent but very sensitive dogs, so she's not doing really great here at the shelter, and she really wants to go home with you. She's caring, she's sensitive, as I said, she's intelligent, she really has a lot of energy, she likes to play, and she's very people-friendly. Once she gets over being a little afraid of what's going on, she's very friendly, she's very sweet. This would make a wonderful pet for someone who's maybe a senior citizen, who's looking for some companionship, because she's a nice size, she's easy to handle, she walks well on a leash. This is a wonderful dog for somebody who's maybe a little older and really wants a nice animal in their house. Lila is very, very sweet. She's just about 1.5 years old, and she really wants to get out of the shelter. And remember, down here at the shelter, we're always looking for foster families. Our cages are full. If you don't want to take on the obligation for a long-term pet, or you have several pets already, but you have a little bit more room in your house, but you don't want to take on the expenses of another pet, please call us to foster. You can take an animal home, a cat, a dog, a bird, a hamster, any kind of animal. We'll take care of the expenses. We'll work with you to learn, so you can learn how to help the animal find a new home. You can come to our adoption days. The animal will be featured on our website. We really desperately need fosters. So come and let us know about fostering, and come meet Lila. Give us a call at 240-773-5967 or visit us on the web at mchumane.org and come see Lila. She'll go home with you. She'll be a great friend.
November 12th is Veterans Day, and in honor of this, County Cable Montgomery will devote Sunday, November 11th and Monday, November 12th to programming in honor of our veterans. This also includes a rebroadcast of the county celebration in honor of World War II veterans that took place in September in Silver Spring. Programming will also include extended interviews with veterans who are a part of these history-making events. Be sure to tune in to County Cable Montgomery for this special programming. Well, that does it for this edition of County Report This Week. Be sure to tune in again next week for a look at what's going on inside Montgomery County. I'm Susan Kennedy. Have a great week.